There are moments in time when the earth trembles not from natural disasters, but from the fury of gods walking among men. This was one of those moments. It began with a rumble in the sky, a vibration that stirred the deepest parts of the ocean and shook the steel bones of cities. In the heart of New York, beneath the towering glass structures and the buzzing hum of daily life, the ground cracked open under an invisible pressure, the promise of a confrontation no mortal could withstand. The Hulk had returned, but this was no ordinary return of the Green Goliath. This was not the misunderstood monster who wandered the wilderness, or the reluctant Avenger brought into the fold. No, this was the Hulk forged in the fires of vengeance and betrayal, the World Breaker risen from the ashes of Sakaar, his rage sharpened like a blade, his eyes burned like twin suns, his muscles bulging with the weight of entire civilization's fury. Earth had wronged him, and Earth would feel his wrath. He had come to punish. Buildings bowed as he walked, air vibrated. In protest, the mightiest heroes had already fallen before him, one by one, their strengths and strategies crushed beneath his fury. The Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, all had tried, all had failed. Even Iron Man's most advanced armor had shattered like porcelain in the grip of the beast. The people, terrified and awestruck, watched from the fringes. Some ran, some prayed, some simply stared, unable to look away from the embodiment of primal force moving through their world. Then, the light descended. It was a light not of this earth, golden, radiant, pulsing with something purer and more ancient than energy. From the heart of the sky he came, a streak of divine fire plunging downward like a falling star. The impact shook the atmosphere, sending shock waves that rippled across the horizon. He rose from the crater, glowing with the brilliance of a sun, just born, his eyes lit with something far beyond mortal comprehension. The Sentry had arrived. Robert Reynolds, the man behind the legend, stood silent yet mighty. The void and the light coexisted within him, a man of unimaginable power, constantly at war with himself. But on this day, he was whole. He had seen the ruin, the destruction, the broken bodies of comrades who had stood against the Hulk, and he knew it was time for gods to clash. Their first collision split the air. Not a punch, not a leap, a collision. Hulk and Sentry met in midair, fists first, like planets colliding. The soundless impact echoed through space and time, a boom to deep four ears, felt instead in the soul. Windows for miles exploded into dust. Entire city blocks crumbled like sandcastles beneath the tidal wave. They battled not just across the city, but through it. Hulk's fists tore through steel and concrete, his roars causing bridges to sway and glass to liquefy. Sentry answered with blasts of light that carved canyons in the streets, beams of pure energy that could incinerate asteroids, yet only seemed to stagger the Green Titan. Each blow they traded lit the sky with flares and thunder, gods bleeding. Starlight and fury above them, clouds twisted into unnatural shapes, reacting to their energy. Storms formed in seconds, then vanished just as quickly as if afraid to remain in their presence. The earth below cracked with every step. Time itself seemed to hesitate. For every punch Hulk landed, Sentry returned it tenfold. For every leap Hulk made, Sentry answered with speed that blurred through dimensions. They were evenly matched in ways that defied reason, neither yielding, neither tiring. Around them, the city burned and bent, reality straining to contain them. Then the tide began to shift. The Hulk grew stronger. With every blow received, with every drop of blood spilled, his rage and his power swelled. His green form became darker, more massive, his muscles straining against the limits of even his own biology. He struck Sentry with a punch that reversed wind currents, sent birds fleeing from continents away, and dropped the Golden Guardian to his knees. But Sentry was no mortal guardian. Within him stirred a force that can erase galaxies, a light forged from the deepest wells of creation. He rose, face grim, energy now pulsating in erratic bursts, barely contained. His eyes glowed brighter, his aura blazing like a second sun. He unleashed everything. They soared above the clouds, their fists weaving a tapestry of destruction in the sky. Airplanes were diverted, satellites blinked out, and the moon watched silently from afar. As they clashed again and again, their forms became blurs of motion, colors spiraling in a violent dance that mocked the gods of Olympus. But still, Hulk grew stronger. Where Sentry began to falter, struggling to contain the explosive might within him, the Hulk seemed inexhaustible. His fury had no bottom, his strength had no ceiling. He had nothing to lose, and that made him unstoppable. He broke mountains with his fists. He roared the sky into submission. At last, their battle came. Crashing down, they plummeted from the heavens, a fireball of light and rage, colliding into the very heart of New York's ruins. The crater they left behind was colossal, a wound in the earth that would not heal for generations. And in its center, smoke rising like incense from a forgotten altar, lay the figures motionless. For a time, there was only silence. Then, slowly, the dust began to settle. First the golden light dimmed, then the green fire flickered. Sentry, broken but still alive, looked upon the Hulk with sorrow. He had given everything. Even the void within him had been spent. Hulk, his breath ragged, eyes still burning with a wrath that could melt stone, stood. But he did not strike again. His rage, though limitless, had found an equal, and in that moment, something shifted. Not peace, not forgiveness, but recognition. These were two gods, born of different agonies, forged in opposite fires. They were the twin extremes of humanity, rage and restraint, light and shadow, and for now, they had burned themselves out. The world would remember this day not for its terror, but for the revelation that even in their fury, even in their destruction, the gods were reflections of themselves. That power, unchecked, would always find its balance, even if only for a moment. As emergency crews and heroes crept cautiously toward the crater, their steps tentative, the Titans remained still, one unconscious, the other barely breathing. But both alive. Legends would grow from that crater. Children would whisper about the day the Earth stood still. Scientists would study the energy signatures for decades. Poets would write of the battle not as a war, but as a conversation, not in words, but in thunder. And in time, the crater would be filled, the city rebuilt, and the skies would once again be blue. But deep beneath that ground, etched in the very bones of the earth, would remain the silent memory of the day Hulk fought Sentry. The day gods clashed and neither won, because some battles are not about victory, but about survival, about limits tested, about understanding earned through. Fury. The battle of gods had ended, but the echo would never fade.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe if you like videos like this. Thank you.